Hi Wildings, welcome back to the Wilding Tarot YouTube channel, and thank you so much for supporting me by watching ads and also liking, commenting and subscribing. I really appreciate it, and it's by far the easiest way to support tarot creators online. Today's reading is kind of deep but fun. We definitely got lots of messages about lots of things that everyone's person was thinking and feeling, and there was lots of messages across all types of connections, so anywhere from like a crush to maybe like a no contact twin flame situation. So yeah, I think everyone's going to be able to get some messages, just bringing your intuition and discernment to know how it applies to you. If there's something that kind of like feels like it's close but maybe not quite right for your particular situation, bringing that along. I do kind of clarify how the energies will be different based on different kind of relationship types most of the time. So yeah, should be just here and there clarifying the energies for yourself, which you're all capable of doing because you're all wildly intuitive beings that are being drawn to this page, I am sure. I'm not going to talk too much about our reading today until we get into the proper explainer opener in a moment. So we'll finish off setting up our beautiful space to read in today and get into the video. Okay Wildings, let's get into today's video. As you can probably tell by the title, we're going to be asking for channeled messages regarding what your person is thinking about you and feeling about you today. And we are also going to get messages from our channeled messages oracles. And I am planning on pulling from every single channeled messages oracle I have. So these messages should be applicable whether you're asking about a very new romantic interest or crush to all the way up the other end of the scale with people with a lot of history, a lot of karma, maybe people in no contact situations. So kind of wherever you fall in the spectrum, we should be getting messages for you. When it comes to the channeled messages, one deck might be more applicable to your situation than another. So just really using your intuition to discern what's for you and what's not for you. And when we're doing our tarot and astrology decks and oracles, just really using your intuition and discernment to be able to interpret the kind of gist of the energies for your situation. I'll mostly be reading for the dominant energy in the reading, so kind of the energy that's most kind of common or the strongest. But yeah, if you're in a slightly different situation but the messages are still resonating, just making sure that you're using your intuition to apply them. It is the age of Aquarius, so these collective readings are definitely getting more and more accurate, and we're going through a lot of kind of healing and purges as a collective. And also the good thing about the age of Aquarius is that the inner guidance and intuition just get stronger and stronger and stronger. So where things might not make sense for your situation, like where your situation might deviate from the collective in some way, it should be fairly clear to you kind of how your situation deviates and kind of how to interpret the messages based on your particular situation. Okay, so enough kind of disclaimers. For our messages today, taking what resonates, leaving what doesn't, choosing between pile 1, 2, and 3 to get your channeled messages. If you're drawn to more than one pile, that's so normal. Sometimes our situation is a combination of 2 different piles. So yeah, just honoring wherever your intuition is sending you. Remembering that if you end up somewhere and it's feeling like it's not really resonating, you can always come back and choose a different pile to see if you're supposed to be somewhere else. I think today's messages are pretty straightforward. I don't really have any background about why we're channeling these messages today. It just felt like the thing that I wanted to channel when I woke up today. So we're just like really honoring that, and there's no kind of deeper meaning today, no deeper kind of like astrology or anything about this kind of reading. So yeah, just taking what resonates, leaving what doesn't, and heading to pile 1, 2 or 3 to get your channeled messages. And wherever you end up, I will see you there in a moment, remembering that I will leave you a little freeze frame if you need a little bit more time. Pile 1, welcome to your reading. If you chose this beautiful pink agate crystal, then this reading is probably for you, but as always, using your intuition and discernment to adjust the messages where necessary. Sorry, I'm just grabbing our astrology deck. It's my favorite one to start off with. Probably shouldn't have put it at the bottom of such a big pile of oracles. But let's get some starting off energies for what pile 1's person is thinking and feeling about them today. Okay, so there's a lot of sexual energy here, to be honest. I would say this person's also really in their feels in general, but it seems to be a lot of kind of loving, sexual, kind of sensual energy here. We've got double Scorpio and double Mars energies here. So Mars is one of the most passionate kind of energies. It's more of a divine masculine energy. And it's much more of a go and get it kind of energy. We have some Aries here. Aries rules the first house of the body. And I would say that this person feels like they're feeling super attracted to your body today. In particular, it seems like they're feeling a lot of attraction. Aries also rules the head. So this is like full body attraction, like head to tail, like the whole deal. And Scorpio rules the sexual organs. So yeah, there's like this whole kind of sensual, sexual kind of energy going on with all of these cards. The 8th house also rules kind of deeper sexualities, so sexualities that are more tied to emotional intimacy and closeness. And just with this water element, which rules kind of deep relationship, intuition, sensation, yeah, it seems like there's this desire for a lot of depth here. What else? This person's potentially appreciating your aesthetics with this Taurus energy. Taurus loves aesthetics. Taurus loves people that are aesthetically pleasing, especially. And Taurus is Venus ruled. So this person might be appreciating any Venus-y part of your aesthetics. Like if your aesthetics are very Venus aligned, this person's appreciating those aesthetics in particular. This person might be contemplating travel to come see you with this Sagittarius energy. So if you are at a distance for whatever reason, they're potentially thinking about that. They may also be thinking about their own personal development and or maybe higher education, things that they might kind of want to feel maybe a little bit more on your level. I'm kind of getting that this person like perceives you to be fairly evolved within the self, to have done a lot of personal development, and it seems like this person today has kind of been thinking about like, how do I get on their level? Like, how do I use what's available to me in terms of education and personal development to meet this person on this level? The 8th house does rule beginnings and endings, so this is potentially either a past life connection or there's potentially some history here of some kind, even if it's just been admiring each other from afar, or just like having noticed each other in the past. What else? There does seem to be a fair like there's definitely some like attraction, especially sexual and sensual, but yeah, there's definitely something deep about this as well with this sensing energy. And water also rules psychic abilities. So this person, especially if you have past life karma that hasn't really had any implication for this life so far, this person might sense that with you. They might be able to feel this kind of past life energy with you. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of depth here in this connection and between the two of you. Kind of regardless of what situation you're in. But we'll get some deeper messages using our traditional tarot about what they've been thinking and feeling. We have some more messages for pile 1 in regards to what they've been thinking and feeling. So this is definitely giving wish fulfillment. We've got the Star card and the 10 of Cups. The 10 of Cups traditionally represents like alignment, happiness, kind of total abundance and total flow with life energy. Being able to surrender, rest, be content, embrace like yourself in general, but especially like your psychic abilities, your sensuality, your sexuality, relationship, and just like lots of kind of love and connection. It's really peak energy when it comes to all of those watery elements. And the star card traditionally is associated with Aquarius, has a lot to do with wish fulfillment, honesty, and like seeing kind of the fruits of your labor. So yeah, it does, I would say this person's like kind of fantasizing and maybe feeling like you're kind of a wish come true kind of energy. The Seven of Cups is also a very imaginative kind of energy, and we have this Justice card, which is a Libra energy. So Libra rules the 7th house of partnership. It's all about harmony, balance, connection. It also rules like binding contracts, so signing leases together, getting married, any way that there's some sort of formalization of commitment. That's all Justice card energy. So yeah, it seems like they're really imagining some sort of like forever situation with you and like having all of their dreams come true, essentially. I'm kind of getting a little bit of nervousness when it comes to maybe making some moves. I don't think it means that they won't. I just think it means that they do have a little bit of kind of nervousness and anxiety around making moves. This person might really enjoy their solitude a lot, and maybe worried about maybe a tendency to either isolate, push you away, or just like in general, like they may be a little bit uncomfortable with really deep emotional intimacy, and maybe you're kind of like challenging them in a way because they kind of have that desire with you, but then they have this equal desire to really be on their own and yeah, like really have no one to report to other than themselves. The Hanged One in Kabbalah Tarot represents a lot of overpowering energy, as well as just things, sometimes uncertainty, but also like it's a reversing energy. So it can be a sensation that things are kind of getting turned on their head in some way. So yeah, I would say this person's maybe a little bit uncomfortable. The Five of Swords does traditionally represent loneliness and solitude. But yeah, I think they're actually worried about maybe losing this ability to be on their own and to experience solitude, and they're worried about potentially being overpowering and manipulative and controlling in order to get that need met, because potentially they've either been that way in the past of this connection or in that way in the past of other connections in some way. Like there's something that stops them from like there's an element of like needing alone time, but then there's also maybe an element of fear of losing their autonomy as well. So yeah, it's kind of like this tricky it's kind of this tricky situation where they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in a way. Like it seems like they really want this connection, but they're just like not sure how to go about it in a way that will A, get their needs for solitude met, and also B, get them met in a healthy way where they're not feeling like they're having to resort to controlling and manipulation to get their needs met. So yeah, there's some nervousness. This may come from a maternal influence, potentially some like mummy issues with the Chariot card coming out. The Chariot energy, this is a Cancer energy, and it really deals with battles between separation and closeness. Kind of the traditional mummy issues archetype is a mum that wants like lots of closeness, like a smothering energy, and then a child who doesn't get their kind of independence. And so then the child is forever kind of walking this line between wanting to be in relationship as a natural need of humanity and also wanting their own independence and solitude. So yeah, this card really asks us to walk the line between separation and closeness with someone, avoiding being enclosed by others and allowing others to enclose us, but also not being in separation in a way of like avoidance. It's a real tightrope kind of card. It represents lots of tightropes, but that's one of the main tightropes that it represents. And I would just say that this card being clarified by the Empress, this is a very kind of mothering energy. It's very similar to the Queen of Pentacles, which is a super mothering energy. It's most associated with kind of Eve archetypes, divine feminine. Usually it's more of a divine feminine that is disconnected from her kind of dark feminine. Like there's not a lot of the kind of chaos, rage, and all of those kind of more challenging feminine energies. It's usually much more love and light, kind of maternal energy, nourishment. It's more Venus-y. It's just not so kind of, yeah. The High Priestess is a more integrated energy. It's got those aspects of light and shadow that are more accessible. The Empress doesn't necessarily have as much access to her own shadow that the High Priestess does. So essentially it does seem like this person is kind of like aware of some of their kind of tendencies and maybe some of their shadow, and maybe some of the challenges of life. They're kind of aware of things that kind of challenge them, make them nervous, but there's also just like a lot of hope, a lot of kind of desire for something with the two of you, a lot of maybe anticipation even, especially if you guys haven't been in connection before. It seems like this person it's definitely full of a lot of hope and anticipation. If you haven't been in this connection before, this person might be a little bit more prone to some illusion. The Hanged One is a Neptunian energy, and there is some kind of illusional Neptunian energy there. And then the Seven of Cups, this is a Venus in Scorpio energy, and yeah, this can indicate sometimes a lack of clarity. So if you haven't been in this connection with this person before, I'd say that you'll probably have to deal with maybe some expectations versus reality, maybe some more projection kind of energies as well. There just might be some stuff to sort out in terms of like seeing each other clearly and seeing each other as imperfect human beings. If you have been in connection with this person before, they're probably a little bit more aware of kind of all your stuff. And this Neptunian energy might be more coming out in terms of like aware of some of the unconscious kind of players in your relationship, like how each other's unconscious kind of stuff and biases may affect each other. But yeah, we'll start to get some channeled messages, oracles. So this first one, this is more channeled messages for, say, newer situations. We'll see what has, what's to come out. Okay, so for our channeled messages, oracles, we have second chance. This relationship deserves a second chance. If you've been kind of thinking about leaving this in the past, or like not even pursuing it, or like maybe if you're maybe experiencing some similar fears and anxieties and just like worries about it maybe not working out, or maybe your own stuff coming up, or not knowing if you can trust yourself in another connection, not know if you can trust someone else. Spirit's definitely asking you to kind of open your heart a little bit and give it, like, make sure you're turning away when you know that it's right to turn away, not because of kind of fear and anxiety. Like, there's a difference between kind of intuitively understanding that something is a big red flag, a big boundary crossing, a big, just essentially a big no, and something that kind of makes you nervous, but like boundaries and red flags haven't really come up. Definitely don't dismiss any red flags that you experience though. There may be an element of kind of this kind of dark coming out within the two of you, and you may need to kind of have conversations about it and set some boundaries around how you're going to deal with that. So for example, if this person's maybe prone to a little bit more solitude, they absolutely have the right to have a need for solitude. Like having someone who is kind of happy doing their own thing and happy in their own skin and on their own is not a red flag. Having someone who deals with that need in a very destructive way, that's a red flag. Like someone who acts on that need from a place of creating hurt, pain, confusion, insecurity, like all of that, that's the red flag, that kind of behavior. So yeah, there's gonna be kind of this like maybe dance or balance between figuring out how to deal with some of those energies, and like having really open and honest conversations about them, and figuring out how you can let each person be themselves, have their own needs met, but also not at the cost of the other person. So yeah, there's definitely going to be there's some challenge there for sure. But yeah, it seems like there is a divine counterpart connection here. So these challenges seem like they're coming from more of a growth kind of perspective. It may be challenging each of you to maybe even unpack some of your projections around your own needs and how to get them met. Especially this person, if they feel like they need to control or manipulate or overpower to get their needs met, like they'll potentially need to do some reflection about what element of that is projection, and what element of that is maybe either like toxic or unhealthy, and they might just need to think of new strategies to get their needs met in healthier ways. So yeah, there's definitely some things going on here. So we've got I'm becoming a better person. So yeah, it seems like this person's really concentrating on becoming a better person. This is this personal development energy. Okay, so we have I'm becoming a better person. I couldn't let you get close to me. I know it's a distraction from your pain. And my life is not together as together as it seems. Okay, so it seems like this is definitely like unexpected, just based on how much of this reading has been around this person's need for kind of solitude and separation, and maybe some of that energy coming from mummy issues. So yeah, know that either right now or in the past, this person really struggled to let you get close to them, or even in a past life, or even in this person's past connections, they've really struggled to let people in. They've really struggled to let people get close to them. If you have been in connection with this person before, they're aware that potentially you become preoccupied with connections in order to maybe avoid your own pain, or to kind of band-aid your own pain, or maybe just like focusing on how someone else is hurt can maybe distract you from your own hurting, your own needs getting met, things like that. So this person's starting to become aware of especially if you guys have been in a past connection, of ways that you might also avoid things. You're just like avoiding in a different way through preoccupation with someone else. If you guys haven't been in connection, they are probably just aware in general of this pattern, say with more either anxiously attached people, maybe more feminine energies, or just like more Libra-ish energies. Libra is heavy we energy, Aries is heavy me energy. Libra like will kind of do anything to save the connection. Aries will do anything to save themselves. And a lot of the time that in immature Aries and Libra energy, it'll come at the cost of the opposite. So Libra will sacrifice themselves for the connection, and Aries will sacrifice the connection for themselves. So yeah, there's kind of like this little seesaw of energy between the two of you. You're essentially trying to find that sweet spot between your energies and their energies. Like they can help teach you how to like just care about yourself way more, like focus on yourself, focus on your own needs, and enjoy time to yourself a bit more. And you can definitely teach them how to be in connection, maybe in healthier ways, and how to deal with things like just better. So that they're not sacrificing connection in order to have their needs met. It's kind of like teaching them how to have their cake and eat it too, almost. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting. There's obviously a lot of lessons in this connection, but they want you to know their life is not as together as it seems. Like maybe they sense that there might be a little bit of insecurity from you, like maybe feeling of like not enoughness, or you might feel like they're out of your league or something like that. And they want you to know that they're very good at kind of putting on a really good facade, like really kind of, yeah, they're good at kind of putting this image out there that things are kind of all good even when they're not. So yeah, they just want you to know that I think this is also part of them maybe not being able to be vulnerable. There's this kind of lack of vulnerability there, where they're kind of, there's just like a lot of walls up around them in some way. And that I'd say they're kind of almost managing how people are perceiving them as well. And it seems like it's coming from maybe a bit of a place of fear or insecurity. Our next lot of channeled messages we'll get. Okay, so as we were kind of saying a little bit earlier, they definitely think you've kind of got it together in a lot of ways. They definitely think you're very clever, and definitely they're trying to embrace their own inner Sagittarius energy to kind of match that energy, to kind of meet you where you are. If you guys have been in connection in the past, they're not over you. If you guys haven't been in connection, potentially you have past life karma, and they're kind of like feeling that pull to kind of work some stuff out with you. There's definitely a lot of worry there. They're definitely worried about kind of losing the lifestyle that they had or have right now, especially kind of with alone time, solitude, and really being able to prioritize themselves. Like, I think they're really worried about losing that. And they're just like nervous about how things are going to go down in a connection, if they're going to be able to handle it and show up in a healthy way. And and kind of not let fear and anxiety take over. I would say it's probably taken over for them in the past. And yeah, it seems to be a real challenge for them. If you haven't been in connection yet, I think this I trusted you energy more has to do with maybe past partners. They might have trusted past connections and past partners, and then that person maybe betrayed them in some way, maybe like ended up being more smothering or codependent than potentially what this person could handle. Or even like the two of them might have had promises not to do that to each other, and then they did anyway. If you guys have been in connection in the past, I'd say kind of maybe a similar thing happened, but with your connection with them, potentially the two of you kind of trusted that everything would work out and kind of like loving each other would be enough. But yeah, maybe there was some kind of like lack of awareness around like how to put boundaries in place, how to like kind of spot the red flags, how to like have open conversations and deal with them in healthy ways, and being open to seeing how you each have toxic behaviors, the other person has toxic behaviors. A lot of it is nobody's fault. It's just like how they were brought up or something like that. And the two of you can work as a team to kind of figure out how to address any issues that seem to be rising. So yeah, it does seem like maybe there was a violation of trust, but potentially this person was trusting you when they needed to trust themselves to deal with situations when they came up, and maybe they didn't even trust themselves to deal with these situations, and so they ended up in sticky situations with you essentially because they almost like didn't have their own back. But we'll get our last channeled messages. This is In the Shadows Oracle, so this probably will be more applicable to this connection if you have like a history. If you don't, this might just be more applicable to their past. Okay, so we have, I was careless with you. I would say that if you guys haven't been in connection, maybe they've been careless with connections in the past. Maybe they've not taken them seriously and definitely not worked on them as much as what they should have. And if you guys have had a past, like potentially they acted carelessly in this connection, maybe they prioritized that kind of me energy and really didn't care about the we energy at the time, and kind of was really happy to let that be the cost of them feeling like they were kind of in control and had their own space. This person, if you've been in connection with them before at this stage, might be unsure or fairly certain that they're not going to come back today. If you haven't been in connection with this person, it's probably more of an ex that maybe they're not going back to, or it could be a third party they're not going back to if you have been in connection with them before. We have, I don't know what to say. So yeah, it does seem like this person's not ready to communicate yet. If you have been in connection with this person in the past, if this is more of a newer connection, maybe this person's experiencing some insecurity, and they're like kind of not knowing how to initiate things because they have a lot of kind of stuff going on under the surface for them, and lots of insecurities and like lots of kind of concerns that are almost holding them back from being able to like really put themselves out there and like kind of speak what their intentions are right now, but they do want to tell you so much. So they're kind of like whatever conversation they need to be having with you, whether it's kind of initiating a connection, maybe initiating some healing or forgiveness, or initiating a reunion, or whatever it is, they definitely want to initiate it. They definitely have a lot on their mind that they wish they could express, but yeah, they're not really sure how to do that at this stage. Yeah, it does seem like there's some complicated energies here. We do have Cupid's arrow, have faith, love is coming, surprise, invitation or meeting, but some hesitation. We do have I like you, someone likes you, romance is blooming, fun, flirting, wanting to date, dragonfly, being lighthearted, finding out, things coming to light, adapt, change, heal, and then abundance. So keep a positive mindset, manifest exactly what you want, gratitude and bliss. So yeah, it does seem like there's romance blooming, regardless of kind of what your situation is. And it's important that you really can kind of go with the flow, adapt, change and heal individually. Keep your mindset positive, and manifest exactly what you desire. Maybe adopting more of a gratitude practice as well might be helpful. Yeah, there's a lot of growing happening right now, probably on both ends. It's probably a lot of personal power kind of being found right now. Probably not really so much through light, but through discovering your own darkness, your own dark side, and being able to discern kind of what's healthy, what's not so healthy, without like kind of making things really black and white and making things all good or all bad. There's some more discernment. So there's probably more big picture thinking. There's probably some more shades of gray thinking going on. And there's probably like a better influence from the intuition, potentially as like a little guidepost. It's probably getting better on both ends. We have double abundance, so yeah, there's definitely a lot coming in, lots of good things coming in. It just seems like there's, you guys are kind of having a bit of a minute right now, but yeah, things are kind of coming together at their own pace, the way they kind of need to, for the two of you to, yeah, be in this personal power and growth. So we have bring love into the situation, especially with all this kind of like fear and anxiety. The best thing to do when you have a lot of fear and anxiety is making sure that you're really balancing it out with a lot of love as well, to kind of like, yeah, kind of keep you grounded and not get in a kind of downward negative spiral. What do you need to release? There may be some things on both sides that the two of you need to release, or at least kind of like have the power removed from it in some way. Balance, spirituality and practicality. A win-win outcome is forecast. I feel like they're very self-explanatory. I just looked at the recording and this particular clip was at 22:22 when I looked. So if that's an angel number that's relevant for you, take that confirmation. Your affirmation is I'm filled with creative energy and I'm ready to manifest. So yeah, if you've kind of been avoiding manifesting this connection for whatever reason, know that you fully have the power to manifest exactly what it is you desire when you're ready. I assume this is kind of like more of a you're ready now kind of do it. But if that doesn't feel right, for some people here, yeah, just like know when you're ready to manifest, those energies are all open for you. But I think I'm going to leave that here. I hope you got everything out of this reading that you really wanted and needed today. I hope it entertained you at the very least. Thanks so much for supporting me by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I will see you again on this channel for another intuitive tarot card reading very soon. Ciao. Hey there, pile 2. If you chose this beautiful moss agate crystal, then this reading is probably for you. But as always, bringing your intuition and discernment to every general reading. We're going to start with our astrology deck, getting messages about what your person is, or themes more so I would say with this deck, about what your person is thinking and feeling about you today. Okay, that's a lot of cards that wanted to come out. So this person today is realizing that there's definitely something very different about you. They're probably feeling some sort of, like, I would say, soul connection with you, with the Soul and Pisces cards coming out. Pisces is a very soulmates energy. It's very deep, very spiritual, and because it houses a lot of our kind of unconscious, a lot of the time it's our unconscious that actually draws us to other people in order to have stuff mirrored to us, so that we can kind of see it and heal it. So yeah, there's definitely this kind of soulful energy about you that they're definitely recognizing, maybe even a familiarity. The moon rules Cancer, and Cancer rules the 4th house of the home, so this can be a very kind of homey, familiar kind of energy, even a maternal energy they might be sensing. But yeah, there's definitely something different about you with this Uranus energy. This usually represents people that are happy to kind of go against the grain and really do what's right for them, regardless of what other people think or what's kind of cool or normal or whatever. It's also it's a genius energy because it's very deeply thinking. Mercury rules Gemini and kind of like more basic thinking, whereas Uranus rules Aquarius modernly, and it's definitely thinking at much more depth. But not only depth, it's just like very big picture thinking. Like Aquarius really appreciates how connected we all are in the web of life. It understands how kind of someone's rights being violated actually violates the rights of everyone on the planet, because of this kind of like deep soul need for everyone to kind of be respected, treated fairly, and like be in alignment with love, ultimately, which is why Aquarius is kind of so almost righteous in the pursuit for equities that will ultimately bring about more equality with souls. So yeah, they're aware that you're kind of like maybe seeing life in a much bigger, broader, connected fashion. I think of Uranus energy as like web-like thinking, like understanding kind of the tapestry of life and how everything's kind of connected, whereas Mercury is usually more thinking about the nitty-gritties of things. Like Mercury retrogrades, for example, a lot of the kind of how things work energies can be affected. So kind of like if you're thinking kind of like cogs in a machine, think like individual cogs can kind of like fall out of alignment. And yeah, so it's very detail orientated and it's very specific, whereas Uranus energy is much broader. Like it's a much broader thinker. And then this air element would probably indicate that this person thinks of you as a really good thinker, a really good communicator, really has some interesting perspectives, maybe is like even more perceptive than most people as well, and also very intelligent. Air is often associated with intelligence. We have a lot of Saturn energy, so I would say this person is thinking that you're kind of like on your path and kind of like doing your bit maybe already, and your person's kind of like really respecting that about you. They may also be respecting this very high priestess, black moon Lilith, very integrated masculine and feminine energies. This is kind of like black moon Lilith is like integrated the dark feminine with maybe some light masculine qualities. This is kind of easier-ish to do in the world right now because of the patriarchy, because we live in such a masculine world. Women can adapt to masculine energy like through like learning much better than men can adapt to their inner feminine, even though it's equally as natural for both to adapt to each. Yeah, it does seem like this person sees you as kind of integrated, well adapted, maybe even a little bit kind of has some attitude and even a little bit scary, or mysterious. Especially if they've known you in the past, like maybe they're seeing you as having a lot more maybe either dominance or attitude or personality, or just like a willingness to take up a lot more space and like essentially not take any crap from dudes anymore. Like this is really an empowered woman who can successfully operate in this very masculine world, essentially. Yeah, so very interesting energies. They seem to be, this kind of feels like a bit of an in-awe energy, or feeling inspired, or just like it's a lot of respect and appreciation essentially. But we'll get some deeper messages with our tarot. So this person today is probably very in their head and very in their shadow energy. They're probably kind of getting this kind of sensation of karma between the two of you, with this world energy coming out in reverse and this Three of Swords energy. This could be current life karma if you guys have been in together and have gone into some sort of separation, which is a common association with this Three of Swords energy. Or if you guys have a past life connection, given that this is a Saturn in Libra, Saturn is very karmic, Libra is very relational. Yeah, this person's kind of like aware of that past life karma, or they're at least getting the sensation of past life karma. So regardless of if they're kind of aware of that or not, pretty much everyone here, your person is kind of like thinking about kind of the karmic energies between the two of you, or they're just like they're kind of sitting in the sensation of that. I am getting a lot of uncomfortability with this, just the way the cards came out. The Hermit is a heavy shadowy kind of energy. It's a heavy Virgo energy. And essentially like, because Virgo rules the sixth house of like kind of your daily life, the shadow is essentially what influences our daily life. Like a lot of our daily life manifestations are a manifestation of our shadow, and we can shift that through using our light to manifest a different outcome, but it usually requires shadow work. It usually requires some sort of breaking whatever kind of belief we have that has resulted in the behavior that has created the current life that we're living. So yeah, it does seem like this person is maybe reflecting on kind of their current lifestyle, their current situation, and they're kind of maybe getting this like niggling feeling that they need to shift some stuff in the practical everyday life for them. They're probably like wanting something more for themselves. This Knight of Swords is quite a maybe young and naive intellectual energy. So this person probably hasn't quite kind of figured it all out yet. They're probably getting some kind of inklings. They're having some kind of like theories about it, but they're really just not sure. They're like not really sure about kind of how to go about improving the situation. But yeah, they're having maybe some challenging thoughts and feelings, I would say. Some of the challenging feelings they might be having is either a desire to abandon, retreat, avoid, run away. This Eight of Cups, this is a Saturn in Pisces energy. So again, very karmic, but also very spiritual. In its best, it's about moving on from emotionally stagnant situations, being ready for the next lesson. At its worst, it's more like the actual, it's at its worst, it's kind of like avoiding kind of like fixing the karma by moving away from it in some way. I would say the fact that it's been clarified by this Queen of Pentacles energy, I'm getting like more of a avoiding from a place of intimidation kind of energy. The Queen of Pentacles really has it together. She's very abundant. She's very much like an Empress kind of Eve energy, and she's very maternal. So potentially like this person's really scared about how maybe maternal, how in your power you are, and how kind of together your life is. And yeah, so they're kind of like feeling this inner challenge based on what they're being confronted by how you're living your life right now. Potentially this person's maybe a bit more of a King of Wands energy. Their intellect and ability to kind of be aware and describe what's going on for them is maybe like still a little bit young, but their kind of motivation, passion, vision, leadership energies, more kind of let's say like more Sagittarius or Aries energies are very evolved. They can kind of like do what they got to do for themselves. But this King of Wands energy, they're usually very charming, but they can be a little bit flaky when it comes to commitment. Out of all the kings, the King of Wands is the least likely to commit. It's the energy that's more likely to worry about themselves and not worry about other people so much. So yeah, maybe they're not really seeing themselves as this kind of stand-up commitment, come home to the same person kind of energy. And that's really challenging for them as well, because they're probably interpreting you as someone who either would authentically really benefit from that, or someone who at the very least really wants that from someone. It's likely that kind of where a lot of this is coming from, a lot of their like inability to really commit and being worried about being tied down, and maybe being worried about giving up other options is probably coming from their past. This Six of Cups energy, this is a Sun in Scorpio energy, and it's about learning from the past, but letting go of it. So kind of like being able to connect the dots and understand why you are the way you are, but ultimately to let it go, live in the now, and kind of do essentially shadow work to create the future that you want, not create a future that's built on kind of your past. So not repeating the same habits to create the same outcome. It's about creating new habits to create a different outcome that's more aligned with your light instead of your shadow. And that's something that's kind of challenging them right now. They're probably kind of learning from the past. They're probably trying to reflect on it. They're probably not like able to fully articulate it at the very least, but they're definitely getting the sensation that something from their past is essentially holding them back from being this kind of stand-up person. But they're definitely feeling this kind of like niggling of like wanting to be, like they want to be that stand-up commitment kind of person, but they're just like kind of struggling to figure out essentially how to do that in some way. They haven't really been conditioned for that, but I'd say they want it. This world, this is a Saturn energy. This is about living your truth. And it's also about playing out whatever karma that you have in this lifetime, whatever you're supposed to do. And just because we got double Saturn, I would say that ultimately it's what they want. It's what will challenge them. It's what will teach them. But yeah, I think it's like almost a little bit too challenging, a little bit overwhelming right now for them to try and figure out how to go about all this. So we'll get some channeled messages. I've got 4 decks of channeled messages. This one's maybe a bit more of an overview energy, maybe a bit less specific. It can be a little bit more applicable to newer energies as well, just based on kind of how the cards come out. We have a couple of other decks that we'll get maybe some deeper messages from as well. Okay, so there's a lot of mutual attraction and chemistry between the two of you, potentially especially because you do have potentially some past life karma. Like there's just a lot of familiarity between the two of you. But yeah, like I was saying, this person definitely has some childhood issues and wounds that need revisiting, and some things that they need to kind of address, because right now they're not on the same page as you. They're kind of like aware of this kind of like maternal Queen of Pentacles energy that's very active in you, and essentially they're still in this kind of like player era. That's not to say that they're necessarily sleeping with other people, but they don't seem to be ready to be tied down. They're kind of like addicted to the freedom, addicted to almost themselves, their solitude, living their own life, just worrying about themselves, not having to take into account another person's thoughts, feelings, and preferences at all. Yeah, so they're kind of like, there is this kind of like element of immaturity to them. And yeah, I think they're trying to get on the same page, but there's some challenge for them, and it's coming from old wounds. It's not coming from a place of like it's genuinely what they don't want. It's coming from a place of like they haven't been conditioned to want those things, or they haven't been conditioned that those things are even safe to want, I would say would be more accurate, especially with all that shadow energy that came out. So yeah, they're kind of like addicted to their King of Wands era. They're not really able to yet embrace their King of Cups emotionally available era. They're not able to embrace their King of Pentacles like dependable kind of era, and they're not able to embrace their King of Swords kind of courageous and intellectual era yet. They're still kind of really caught up in all the fun and passion of life and all of the do what you want, don't really care about what other people have going on kind of energies. So yeah, they're kind of like in a bit of a sticky situation. I'm getting a lot of like, it actually in my body, like it feels so sticky. I am definitely getting a big kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place, a big kind of sticky energy from them. So I'll shuffle all of these out before I start interpreting actually. Okay, so potentially if you guys have like real in this life karma and not just past life karma, they're definitely regretting the way they treated you. They feel like they were potentially too young and immature to potentially treat you the way that you deserved or meet you on that page that you were on. And yeah, I think because they were like really stuck between, it's almost like a fear energy, and essentially what they really want, like letting you go was really hard because they knew that they wanted to be on that same page with you. There was just kind of like too much blocking them, and I think they knew that they were hurting you. I would say if you haven't really connected with this person, I would say that they feel like they're maybe a little bit still too immature. They're not sure if they're going to be able to treat you the way that you deserve, and they're potentially worried about being hurt and getting into a situation where they maybe they don't trust their ability to back up that deep desire with action, and they're kind of like afraid of it essentially falling apart. But know that regardless of all these energies, they are working on being a better person. They are, even though it seems like they're afraid to get on this page with you, they want to. So they're working on it. They're just, I don't think they're pushing themselves, like they're trying not to push themselves too hard. They're trying to do it one step at a time, and seems like they're trying not to push their own kind of boundary or capacity in some way. They're trying to like heal at a decent pace. Okay, so it's likely this person today is coming up against some self-doubt, some resistance, just some, I don't think they're really trusting in their own abilities right now. They're kind of hitting a wall. And they've definitely been hiding a lot of how they've been feeling. In general, I think to people, especially if you haven't connected with this person in the physical yet, if you have, like I would say, kind of whatever went down between the two of you and the way that you guys potentially had to part ways did deeply affect them, and it did deeply upset them, did cause some pain. Know that they love you, and they definitely, there's this kind of like energy of trust with you, but I think I think they need to be able to trust themselves as much as they trust you. And that really seems to be something that was letting them down in the connection, that they didn't really, they almost like didn't know how to deal with their own energy in a way, or deal with how they were feeling in general. We'll get some shadow messages. These messages tend to usually be a little bit more applicable if you have been with this person, but yeah, if you haven't, this usually more refers to shadow energies from others. So we have, I trusted you and I don't trust you. So potentially the trust they had in you has faltered. I would say it's mostly because of that trust they didn't have in themselves. Maybe because they didn't trust themselves, some things kind of went down, and it made them not trust you. But I think that's a reflection of them not trusting themselves. Like a lot of the time when we get really hurt in connection, we start to not trust others, but really that's a reflection of our own mistrust in ourselves, because we get into this mind frame where we can't trust ourselves because how did we get into that situation where we got so hurt, especially if we were so optimistic to begin with. So yeah, this person's definitely coming up against some trust issues. If you guys do have real history, know that they took the easy way out, especially if they were the one to end the connection. If you guys haven't, I would say this is more like they have a history of taking the easy way out, of like not really pursuing the hard thing to do. So they know you guys have a soul connection and they fantasize about you. I feel like they're very self-explanatory. So we have I like you energy. So this is someone likes you, romance is blooming, fun, flirting, wanting to date. Healing heart, healing from heartbreak, free from toxic relationships or addiction, as well as like healing like childhood wounds. Potentially this person either had their heart broken with you or had their heart broken with someone else, and they're trying to heal, especially trying to heal trust issues, I would say. Girl talk, time with friends, moving on, happily single, living in the moment, having fun. So yeah, they definitely don't want to give up their freedom. They want to have their kind of space. They want to be able to prioritize friends. They want to enjoy their life and have fun. I think they're overestimating how restrictive relationships are. Like potentially they have a history of relationships being restrictive and they don't know how to go about them with this kind of freedom that it seems like they ultimately want. But they also want security, stability, growth, endurance, flexibility. So I think they are going to kind of push themselves out of their comfort zone, and kind of figure out how to have their own freedom and also be in a relationship with someone and try and do it in a healthy way, because they know that will challenge them to grow. And really, like, I think them being single would kind of be the easy way out for them to just like avoid relationships. So there's new beginnings potentially on the horizon. An era of more self-love. Definitely a lot of change. Definitely a lot of learning from the past, wisdom gained from past experience with you or with others. And yeah, a lot more self-reflection, probably a lot more self-understanding as well, and understanding the self on much, much deeper levels, especially. So we have confidence is your key to success. I think getting anxious over this situation is not going to help you. Your commitment is being tested, especially knowing like all this stuff that this person is going through. But yeah, just being like confident and letting things pan out is going to be the key to your success with this connection, it seems. Just kind of like letting it be how it's got to be. What do you need to release? Is there any kind of like desire to control or potentially know the outcome or have some sort of certainty where certainty is not realistic or anything like that? What needs to be released? So we have, I allow transformation, I flow with each phase. So yeah, this is definitely a phase that you got to flow with. It probably is going to be offering you as much transformation as them. So yeah, like really going with the flow of it. But I think I'm going to leave that here. I feel like that's very self-explanatory. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it gave you what you wanted and needed today, or entertained you at the very least. Thank you so much for supporting me by watching all the way through, for liking and subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate it. And until I see you again, ciao. Hey there, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose this beautiful, I think it's iolite crystal, then this reading is probably for you. But as always, bringing your intuition and discernment to every general reading. We're just going to start with kind of like the overarching themes and then go into a bit more detail. Spirit, what themes do you have for pile 3 in regards to what their person's thinking of them today? Okay, you guys have been running through their mind today with this Mercury energy coming out. Like, I would say they've basically not thought about anything else all day. But yeah, this person's kind of going through it, I would say. We've got the void of course of moon and Chiron energies. These are challenging energies. The south nodes are also fairly challenging. There may be some karma between the two of you, either past life karma, or maybe there's just some stuff, karma from this lifetime that you guys have created together, that this person's been contemplating. It seems like whatever the karma is, it's really rubbing against some of their really core wounds, some of the ways that they feel really broken, insecure, unworthy. Yeah, like it's really challenging them. This void of course of moon, this is a missing energy. It refers to a period where the moon's not making aspects to any other planets. It often refers to feelings of isolation, being alone, or having like the emotional world almost inaccessible when the moon, which represents the emotional world, is not aspected. It's like this very kind of far away, kind of challenging energy that's you can be very disconnected from in a way. So yeah, maybe they're like having a lot running through their mind, but they're really not sure how they feel right now, or they're overcome with feelings of like loss, missing, separation kind of energies, isolation, aloneness. This person's probably contemplating either how to get into a connection with you or how to get over this connection in some way. I think maybe they're kind of like in a bit of a place of like, oh my God, like I've been hurting for so long. Like I just want to get over it. If you guys do have current life karma, if you guys haven't, I would say this is more like maybe an obsession on like how to go about initiating this connection. And they're also like, essentially trying to grow. They're trying to look at what they're going through right now and look for the opportunities to grow as a person, and what they should be learning from their current experience, especially if you guys don't have current life karma. I would say I think if you do have current life karma, this person might find personal development a little bit more challenging, just given the place that they're in and the amount of hurt that they're in. If you guys don't have current life karma, if you guys only have past life karma, this might be a bit more accessible to them, because maybe these wounds aren't being rubbed up against quite the same way, like maybe not as deeply. So they're able to kind of maybe learn a little bit more and apply their learning a little bit more. But we'll get some tarot energies to get a bit more specific about what they're thinking and feeling today. So this person's having a really, really tough day. They're probably feeling a little bit down, a little bit anxious. They're really not sure what they have to give in this connection. They're definitely not sure if they can kind of match the intimacy and maybe empathy or compassion that they think that you either need or deserve, or both. They are potentially also feeling fairly lonely, so they want that intimacy and connection, but I think that they're worried about self-sabotaging in a way. This Six of Pentacles right way up is a very heavy generosity card. Coming out in reverse, I would say this person maybe isn't sure if they can kind of give you what you deserve. Especially clarified by this Chariot energy. This is a Cancer energy, and it's usually about walking the line between separation and enmeshment almost. Because Cancer is very connected to family of origin, like generational stuff, like all the light from the ancestors, but then also the shadow. And a very common shadow that gets passed down in this day and age is kind of that mothering, smothering archetype, where the mother kind of encloses or become so enmeshed with the children so that they don't have their own autonomy and space, and where the father is maybe like more distant, which is kind of like the crux of mummy and daddy issues. You can have mummy issues with your dad though and daddy issues with your mum. Like it's not it's more about their energy, about the way that they showed up for you as a child. And maybe this person is kind of wants to avoid intimacy in a way because they're worried about being smothered, they're worried about becoming enmeshed, they're worried about being engulfed and losing their independence and autonomy, and they're worried that this need for solitude will be perceived as kind of unkind, and them not being able to meet your emotional needs, which may or may not be true. They're definitely aware that their need for their own space might not pass the vibe check really. Yeah, it seems like this person's really struggling with what they're thinking today. It seems like their mind's very active but potentially not getting them anywhere. This is usually very anxious thoughts. This usually is heavily associated with story and things that you kind of can make up in your head. And this Page of Swords, this is a very, it can be more of a naive energy, but it can also be more like closely related to the Fool, like really feeling like you're at the start, like really not knowing what to think, kind of really having not been given the information to really fully make up your mind yet. That's how this person feels. It does seem like they potentially usually rely on their intellect a lot, really intellectualize things, and maybe figure out through objective analysis like what to do most of the time. But I would say that a lot of what's going on here is so deep, and they're kind of like asking more than what's realistic of themselves to kind of almost anticipate things in their unconscious that are so deep and so ingrained in there that they're probably going to take like a lifetime of work to unpack. So they're kind of trying to find all the answers, but it seems like part of the connection is having the answers presented kind of as they're ready to scrape through a new layer of the unconscious, and they're trying to have all the answers up front. They're trying to like know everything and be prepared and limit the uncertainty, but yeah, that doesn't seem realistic. And they may be feeling a little bit incompatible with you as well today. The Empress, I would say, is kind of more closely related to Queen of Pentacles energy. And Earth and Air can be challenging because Earth is so kind of like grounded, down to earth. Air is like essentially the exact opposite of that. They can both be practical, and that's definitely what can unite them, but yeah, there is some challenging in terms of compatibility with these two and like trying to get on the same page. So yeah, this person might feel like they're not on the same page with you right now and kind of not really know what to do about it, essentially. But we'll get some channeled messages. We're going to start with kind of more overview channeled messages with this Messages of Love Oracle. So it seems like there needs to be some detachment maybe on both ends with this connection, especially because we had a lot of story kind of cognitive energy coming up. This person might need to really kind of be in the situation and like flow with it and feel it and try not to have that level of certainty and predictability that they're kind of looking for, I think, from more of a defense mechanism place. I think there's potentially something about this connection that one or both of you intuitively know right now, and maybe an extra layer of detachment and kind of like stepping back and like really observing what's going on potentially will bring some more clarity and some more answers, which I think for this person would be nice. They seem like they're looking for clarity and answers. But yeah, they definitely feel very foggy. So it might mean that you need to be maybe a little bit more clear, since they're essentially all over the shop. There's definitely a lot of desire for the two of you here. And I think this connection would benefit from the two of you just kind of like going with the flow and trusting that you can kind of do the work based on where you're at now, but you kind of can't expect yourself to be any further along the path than what you are. So yeah, there's kind of like this energy of like, you guys could just essentially try and see how things go, and kind of like trust this process to teach you lessons along the way. It does seem like for some people here that this connection's not enduring anyway. It's potentially just like a lesson thing. So potentially embracing this as like more of a lesson thing, and being able to come at it with that more detached energy might help both of you, especially them. Like, they're very cloudy. I think they're taking it like way too seriously. But if you guys could just like enjoy each other, enjoy the lessons that you have to teach each other, and maybe not take it so seriously, there may be, it may just like work out better for everyone in the long run. Yeah, we both know I'm not the one for you. So yeah, seems like this is maybe more of a lesson thing and less of a forever thing. So yeah, maybe the two of you need to kind of detach a little bit and just like enjoy the process. So they knew exactly what they were doing with whatever they did. I know I messed up everything. Yeah, whatever they did, I feel you even though we are apart. So yeah, there's potentially some energetic connection here. You're probably feeling their fogginess. Like, their fogginess is very clear to me, ironically. Okay, potentially they're in another connection, or maybe there's some sort of complication with the situationship right now that's stopping them from maybe going with the flow of this connection right now. But yeah, I think they might want to, and it might come together at more of a later date for you guys to kind of like flow through this experience and learn what you've got to learn. They want to know if they still have a chance with you. I think this might be coming from an insecurity place in terms of like maybe leaving this connection in order to pursue the connection with you, especially because that probably intuitively they might know deep down that this thing with you might not be a forever thing anyway. Yeah, I do feel like their energy is very mixed. We have our In the Shadows Oracle. So these tend to be a little bit more dark, especially, and are more applicable if you guys have been in a physical connection. Otherwise, they might refer to the past of your connection in a past life. So we have, sometimes I hear your voice. So they're obviously feeling connected to you. I was careless with you. So yeah, probably like all of their fogginess is making them not show up super well. I fear that you'll reject me, probably especially based on this intuition of like the lack of long-lasting energy in this connection. I hope you're happy for me. So yeah, I think they are kind of looking for your approval when it comes to their choices and like where they're at right now. Yeah, there's some necessity for boundaries in this connection. There's definitely some very challenging energies here. Okay, it does seem like this is part of each other's ascension plan for you guys to grow as human beings, for you probably to like realize a lot as well, have a lot of revelations. But yeah, there's some sort of new phase, transformation, change of mind, energy. And yeah, this person may want to kind of connect and work some things out with you. There's definitely some love, some opportunity for expansion in this connection.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a like forever love, just based on how all the cards have come out so far. There's a lot of attraction, a lot of extremes here. But yeah, I think the two of you will be important for each other's experiences ultimately, for you to get kind of what it is that you want in the long run. So yeah, Spirit's asking you to surrender to the divine, to kind of like let this process play out, believe in the impossible. It seems like there's some sort of importance for things going the way that they're going. Okay, there may be some necessity for you or them to make some sort of move. Probably like waiting on it is not helping. Probably is actually adding to their kind of fogginess, is like this lack of action. So if it feels like something that you genuinely feel called to do, maybe let go of your expectation of like what will happen when you do it. But yeah, maybe honoring it might be a good idea. Obviously, only if that resonates, if it sounds like a good idea, genuinely within, like trust your inner guidance on that one. But we'll get a affirmation. I choose to accept myself just as I am because I am my own beautiful creation. Yeah, so don't let any of this taint yourself. Don't let it make you insecure just because they're really all over the shop. That doesn't say anything about your worth. It really just says stuff about the karma between the two of you more so than anything else. So yeah, just like really letting it play out the way that it's got to play out seems important. But I think I'm going to leave that there. I hope this reading gave you what you wanted and needed, or I hope it entertained you at the very least. Thanks so much for supporting me by watching all the way through and liking and commenting and subscribing. I really appreciate it. And until I see you again, ciao.